In a workshop, a steel shaft breaks free, chaos in a single spin. The machine bay vibrates as a massive cylinder rotates on a lathe. The operator steps closer, unaware that one clamp isn't fully secured. Each turn builds silent pressure, vibrations rising with every rotation. The imbalance grows. Seconds from failure, no one sees coming. Without warning, the shaft breaks free from its clamp. The cylinder wobbles violently, shaking the frame as cables lift and scatter. The operator steps back while the lathe slows to a stop, proof of how fast imbalance can turn control into chaos. Rotating energy is unforgiving. Never, ever stand near unsecured or imbalanced loads. One loose hold can turn precision power into pure destruction. At a construction yard, a massive steel tank begins to lift, and in seconds, gravity takes over. At a rural site, workers use a loader and cables to raise a large cylindrical tank. Sunlight flashes off the metal as it slowly rises, swaying under tension. One worker moves in too close, guiding by hand as the rig strains. The loader jerks forward, and tension ripples through the rig. The cables slip slightly, sending the tank swaying off balance before settling hard onto the ground. A cloud of dust rises as the crew gathers around. Never, ever stand or work under a suspended or tilted load. One sudden imbalance can turn control into disaster. A single unguarded edge, one step forward, and there's nothing left to stand on. At a high-rise construction site, workers in blue uniforms gather on a freshly poured slab. The surface gleams wet and open, with no guardrails or hard barricades to define the edge. They talk near the perimeter, assuming the space is safe. One worker takes a step forward toward the danger line, unaware it's the last safe step available. The worker approaches the edge and loses footing as the railing snaps, slipping straight through the open side. His teammates turn in shock, rushing to the spot too late to stop the fall. The open platform, left unprotected, turns from workspace to hazard in an instant. Every elevated platform must have secured guardrails and hard barricades. Even a moment of unprotected access exposes workers to a deadly fall risk. At a hillside loading bay, a parked truck suddenly starts rolling backward. On a sloped roadside near a small store, a delivery truck halts for unloading. The loader stands inside, ready to lift goods onto the platform. The driver steps away briefly, leaving the vehicle idling on the incline. Moments later, the truck starts rolling backward. The loader stumbles clear as the vehicle reverses, grazing the barrier before slowing. Hearing the movement, the driver rushes back, climbs in, and sets the brake, bringing the runaway truck to a safe stop. Brakes can fail without warning. Never, ever leave a vehicle on a slope without proper securing. Gravity doesn't wait, and neither should your precautions. Inside a tractor repair shop, a simple tire inflation goes horribly wrong. In a busy workshop filled with the smell of oil and metal, two mechanics work on a large tractor tire. It rests flat on the floor, chained to a hoist for support. They're trying to seat the bead faster by adding a flammable gas inside before inflating. The shortcut looks harmless, until pressure, fuel, and air begin to mix into an invisible hazard. One worker leans in to check the rim as a faint hiss escapes. In an instant, trapped pressure ignites the gas mixture, sending a shockwave through the workshop. Tools rattle, lights flicker, and the workers stumble back as the air clears, revealing the cause. Fuel and air combined where only air should have been. Never, ever use flammable gases or accelerants to seat or inflate tires. Even a tiny spark or static charge can trigger ignition, turning confined air pressure into a devastating blast. On a factory floor, one crane swing sends a worker straight into danger. Inside a production hall, a female worker walks near an open pit as an overhead crane carries a bundle of heavy burlap sacks. The chains rattle above, and she glances upward, unaware of how close the moving load is to her path. The pit beside her is uncovered, lined with concrete, and waiting for materials to drop. Another worker watches from a distance, focused on his own task. As the crane swings the suspended sacks toward the pit, the load shifts direction unexpectedly. The worker steps aside just in time as the bundle swings past, grazing her sleeve and sending her off balance. She regains footing at the edge while her coworker signals to halt the crane, proof of how quickly motion and inattention can collide. Working near open pits and moving cranes demands full awareness. Even a slow-moving load can shift unpredictably and pull anyone off balance before they can react. In a fast food kitchen, a moment's distraction turns into a shocking entanglement. Inside a busy kitchen, a worker balances multiple tasks, taking customer orders through her headset while preparing ingredients for the next round. The air carries the steady rhythm of cooking and conversation as the grinder runs nearby. She steps forward to adjust the machine, confident in her routine. Focused on her work, she leans closer to check the mix inside the running grinder, unaware of the danger just inches away. As she adjusts the machine, a strand of her hair brushes too close to the rotating shaft. In a split second, the grinder's motion catches it, pulling with sudden force. She reacts instantly, hitting the stop button as a colleague rushes over to assist. The situation is under control within moments, a narrow escape that reinforces the importance of securing loose hair before work. Secure long hair and clothing before starting work. Never ever underestimate the risk of rotating machinery. Awareness prevents pain and saves lives. One careless push, and a box of tools plunges into danger. Inside a warehouse loading area, a worker upstairs steers a pallet jack through a tight aisle. Boxes and toolkits line the narrow path, leaving little room to maneuver. Focused on alignment, the worker nudges the jack forward, pushing a box of tools aside to create room. The box tips over, spilling tools across the walkway with a loud clatter. Startled, the worker downstairs steps back as a few items roll toward the edge. A nearby colleague halts the movement and helps clear the scattered tools, restoring order before operations resume. Never ever push or steer equipment through cluttered zones. Always pause to clear your path. Awareness keeps you, your tools, and your team safe. At a feed plant conveyor, one careless reach, and everything changes. A worker in a green uniform stands beside a moving conveyor, feeding shredded material toward a hopper. The belts roar steadily, filling the air with vibration and dust. Spotting a jam near the chute, he steps closer, thinking it's a quick fix. As the worker reaches toward the chute, his sleeve brushes the moving belt, caught for a split second before he yanks back. The conveyor shudders as debris jams beneath the rollers. Alarms sound, and a teammate hits the emergency stop, freezing the system before damage occurs. A running conveyor is never safe to approach. Its motion is constant, its grip unforgiving. Always isolate and lock out before clearing jams. Human strength can't match mechanical force. In a metal workshop, one reckless pour ignites an instant firestorm. Two men work near a small open flame inside a busy metal shop. One grabs a can of paint thinner, thinking it'll make cleanup faster. The other stands nearby, unaware of the risk as fumes spread through the air. As the thinner pours, the vapors meet the open flame. A flash of light sweeps through the air as heat flares briefly, startling both workers. They move back fast as smoke curls upward, proof of how fast invisible vapors can ignite when flammables meet heat. Flammable liquids and open flames are a deadly mix. Never, ever use accelerants near heat. Vapors ignite faster than anyone can move. Fire safety is control, not courage. Keep flammables sealed and far from heat, because one careless pour can burn through everything you built. Don't forget to share what you learned today in the comments. Your insight could save a life. Take care.